Welcome to this video tutorial. Now is the turn of the sign test calculator. The sign test is just one of the basic non-parametric tests you're gonna be probably finding in your stats class, and you might be confused as to how to use it, how to perform the calculations. One thing with the sign test is that it comes in different forms and shapes, but they essentially do all the same. Is essentially comparing positives and negatives. Is in a way you're not quantifying, like comparing numbers. You're just comparing plus and minuses, or above the median, below the median, summing above, below, or plus minus, or high low, whatever. So it's two conditions, and then the data allows you to determine each observation is above or below, a plus or a minus. So as with most of the tests here, you have to define the null and alternative hypotheses based on the setting of a problem, and you have to also indicate the number of positives and the number of negatives. Okay, so for now, let's assume that we're testing something that whether or not the median of difference is equal to 0 versus the median of the differences is not equal to 0, it's different from 0. You could eventually test if it's less than 0 or greater than 0. All right, so left tail, right tail, or two-tailed. So a couple of observations. Normally you could, if you're given a data set, you can actually you can just put the data together, pair the data together, and then compare which sample 1 is higher or sample 2 is higher, and then you do a plus or a minus depending. And so you could compute the number of positives and the number of negatives, or sometimes you're given the number of positive and number of negatives. One thing to keep in mind is that normally you will eliminate what's called the ties, where you have a pair where sample 1 and sample 2 have exactly the same value. That's a tie, and those you want to eliminate because they're neither positives nor negatives. So for this test in a future, soon we're going to implement that. We're going to allow the user to enter a data set, and so in case it's not given in terms of number of positives and number of negatives, so the user will be able to simply paste the data set, and the solver will assess what is the number of positives and what is the number of negatives. But for the sake of the example, let's say we provided this data that it's 12 positives and 9 negatives. And then, as usual, as it is the case for all of the significance for the hypothesis tests or significance tests, you have to define a significance level. The typical value is 0.05. And so as you can see, we just needed to select this, and just enter 3 numbers here. And what do you do now? Just do the magic. Just click solve. And then here you provide with a very, very complete answer. As usual, you can copy paste this information, these results, and you can see an explanation how the test works. Although they did like boring details, some might say, but it's some people might find a use on going on in depth, if you will. Alrighty, so if you say made a mistake typing the data, you can just quickly here edit and then click solve again, and then just the solution updates accordingly. And see if you want to start over, just click start over, and then it gets reset. Okay, that's all for now. See you in the next one.